Actually outside and it's about to thunderstorm, which my plants and flowers are, oops, I guess I wasn't really live yet. Hello, welcome to this thunderstormy Friday afternoon. What better day to talk about education than this? I am outside and it is going to thunderstorm. It's getting darker and darker as we speak, but it is what it is. Anyway, today we're going to do an introduction to the IEP Toolkit, and then next week we'll talk about the IEP Toolkit and what it is and the different ways that you can use it. You can create it yourself, you can use ours, we can help you use it. But basically, the goal of having a productive IEP meeting is you have to be an effective advocate for your child. Remember, you're the one who knows your child. So you were their first teacher, you were their most important role model, you have been responsible for their welfare, and you always have their best interests at heart. So you are a key player at this meeting. So don't be the only one that comes to the table at an IEP meeting without a folder, without notes, and just defer to everyone else at the table. You have valuable information as a parent. You have valuable tools as an advocate for your child. Remember that educators spend a lot of time with your child, but that is time that is shared with other students or time that is promoting a curriculum and making sure that everyone has access to education. As a parent, you are the sole focused, laser in tune with what's going on with your child. So that's really, really important. It just started to rain, but I think I'm okay underneath here and I'm not going to get wet. I'm going to move this over a little bit though to make sure the computer doesn't get wet either. Okay, here we are in the storm. All good. Turning around a little. Okay. Oops. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about today, as I mentioned, is the IEP Toolkit is coming next week. So before we got there, I just wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page with what we're doing as parents and advocates. We are advocating. And advocacy, it sounds like a big fancy legal word, but really it's any time that you're influencing or contributing to decisions, then you are advocating. Um, there are 5 sort of elements of advocacy, um, and they are clarity of purpose, which which in this scenario is obviously the purpose is to make sure that we're leveling the playing field, that every child has equal access to a free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. So that is our number one goal, is that we have clarity of purpose. But then underneath clarity of purpose, there's as parents, you can say, and I want my child to catch up in being able to tie their shoes or being able to read a 20-page book or and as parents, especially now in the summer, you know what your child is doing. You know what your child is lacking. You know how your child has fallen behind during stay at home. The educators aren't going to know that. They haven't seen your child. They haven't been able to measure progress. You have. So, especially at the upcoming IEP meetings, it's going to be even more important that you have that input. So, the other parts of being an advocate are to safeguard confidentiality, equality, and diversity. Oh, I'm getting soaked. Oh, let me see if I can just move in a little more and not get wet. Be patient for a second. I love rain. I just don't like it blowing at me. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Right now I am tucked in the corner, and this is where I should have started because this is my favorite place. Okay, anyway, going back to talking about advocacy, in the midst of a thunderstorm. So they safeguard confidentiality, equality, and diversity. Being a good advocate always is also can be very empowering, and you put power into the hands of a team because you're educated and you've planned to be there. And you, of course, are always putting your child first. And that is like the root element of being an advocate, is that your priority is always going to be focused on what's best for your child. You don't care about how much it costs. You don't care about availability. You want what's best for your child. And everyone else will contribute their ideas and strategies, but they may have different things in mind in addition to your child. So this is really important. So, four most common mistakes that parents make are they come into the room emotional. This is a business meeting. This is can be a negotiation, but it should be a discussion. It should have no emotion. It should have facts. It should have order. It should have very reasoned questions that you want answered. You really need to prepare for the meeting in order to leave emotions at the door. And and of course, if you disagree, it could get very emotional, but there's legal means to take care of that. You don't need to resolve it in the IEP room with the team. 24-hour rule. Highly recommend it. Every coach ever has said, wait 24 hours if you still have the grievance, or then bring it to my attention. I strongly suggest that parents do that in an IEP context as well. So, um, so in the way that we are going to plan and is, first of all, we're going to plan what our short-term goals are, what our long-term goals are, and we also have to plan by digging back into the past, because that's one thing that parents can bring to the table, especially if your child is transitioning from elementary school to middle school or middle school to high school. The parent is the one who has all the past evaluations, all the past IEPs, all the past progress notes, all the everything that has gone on with your child. You should have in a folder or a binder. It should all be there, and you should bring it with you every time, organized fashion. You can do it either by year or by document. um, I prefer, when I'm looking at a history of a child, I like all the IEPs together. I like all the evaluations together. Other people prefer like all of 2019 together. I think by the end we end up having both. But just for me to get a learning picture, it's really easy for me just to look at how the goals changed over time, and then ask the parent, you know, did that goal change because it was achieved, because it wasn't achieved, because progress was made? Was it modified, or was it eliminated? Was it because of a change of placement? These are all the things that you want to understand as a parent. Another huge mistake that parents make, and I've talked about this before, is that they don't truly, well, understand their child's disability. And the weather may win here, folks. And what I mean by that is that they understand what, like, the abstract, like my child can't focus, but they don't understand why, and they don't understand what happens immediately before or immediately after, or the length of time, or the subject matter. Some kids can, okay, we're getting soaked here. Some kids can focus really well in math and not in language.